In this WrestleTalk news, is CM Punk misunderstood, Survivor Series success, and a shock angle on Dynamite which Ollie will be reviewing.
Support WrestleTalk!
While CM Punk seemingly became public enemy number one towards the latter stages of his AEW tenure, there seemed to be two chaps that remained close friends, both on screen and backstage, with Mr. Brooks, that being Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler of FTR. United seemingly by their reverence of Bret Hart, the trio frequently shared the ring together and posted buddy-buddy pics on social media, an anomaly, seemingly, as so many did not enjoy Punk's presence in the company. Now, while we are yet to hear from Punk properly, aside from some jokes during his CFFC commentary, we've finally heard from one half of FTR, with Dax giving an interview with Fightful Sean Ross Sapp, where he was asked about his thoughts on Punk. He had his door always open, invited people in, watched matches of the young wrestlers that asked him to, stuck around until the end of the show, and anybody who had questions, he would answer the questions. He loves wrestling, just like me, unabashedly is a professional wrestling fan. Dax went on to say that he still speaks to Punk every day, and whatever he chooses to do in life, he hopes it brings him happiness and joy, because that's what he deserves. A somewhat glowing review, and very different from the other stories we've heard from the AEW locker room of Punk being a cancer and nobody liking him. 2 days ago, it had been reported that Andrade, who according to the Wrestling Observer is currently suspended from AEW, had undergone surgery for a torn pectoral, an injury Andrade himself confirmed happened during a six-man suplex spot during a trios match with the Elite in August. Now, a further update on Andrade has been given by none other than his father-in-law, Ric Flair, who spoke on his podcast providing more insight into how serious the injury indeed is, saying, "It's to be determined. I don't know. I know it was a bad tear. He's going to be out for a while with it." While discussing Andrade, Flair also spoke on how he believes AEW have booked his son-in-law. "I like the stuff with Matt Hardy, but I don't think they use him properly myself. I'm going to be obviously biased. I think he is a much better singles performer than he is in a tag match." Given Andrade's injury and controversy surrounding his last actions in AEW, he finds himself in a similar spot to Punk, still under contract, injured, but unclear whether they will be seen in the company again. I guess 2023 will provide the answers we all crave at some point. Now, after decades of being the ugly duckling of the big four WWE pay-per-views, Survivor Series got a much-needed War Games-infused shot in the arm this past Saturday, providing a solid show with a truly excellent conclusion. And it looks like the renewed interest in the event has paid off massively for WWE, as Fightful have reported that this year's event has become the most viewed Survivor Series on record, jumping 46% from the 2021 edition of the show, which came courtesy of an internal memo from WWE. Not only that, but it was also reportedly WWE's biggest ever live gate for both Survivor Series as well as the city of Boston, with merch sales also rising by 20% from last year. It was also noted that fan ratings of the event were up by 48%. However, as noted by Fightful, it is unclear how this metric was measured exactly. Nevertheless, it's abundantly clear that Triple H's changes to this year's event in comparison to the stale brand warfare editions of the past has been a huge W for WWE. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more news, because we upload daily wrestling news videos.
Before we get on with the rest of the video, I'd just like to say a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, which you can get 83% off and 3 months free if you go to surfshark.deals/WrestleTalk and use the code WrestleTalk. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole new world of content libraries. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. If you're outside the UK, you can watch the BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE network with its far superior functionality. I hate change. We've all been using Surfshark here at WrestleTalk for years now. It's our official VPN, and it doesn't just let us gain access to all the wrestling, it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private. My collection of ultra swole Pokemon must be protected at all costs, and my favorite feature for this is that Surfshark knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's like having a babyface wrestling faction for your phone. So sign up to Surfshark today by clicking our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/WrestleTalk, where you'll get 83% off and 3 months free if you use the code WrestleTalk. We'd really appreciate if you at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support WrestleTalk and support your internet privacy with Surfshark. It's Thursday, you know what that means. My review of AEW Dynamite in about hat minutes. Jon Moxley opened the show saying there are only 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and Jon Moxley. I'd also add, Jon Moxley never getting a vacation. He said he's the best wrestler in the world and was presumably about to start trashing MJF, but he was interrupted by the shock return of Hangman Page, making his first appearance since their World Championship match a month and a half ago, which ended in that horrible concussion. Mox immediately brought that up after they got in each other's faces, asking, "You sure you want to do this after last time?" while tapping at his head. Mox felt more heelish here, and I'm fully ready for heel Mox in AEW. This sparked a terrific pull-apart brawl so fiery, Mox misjudged where the ramp was and totally stacked it off the side. Another week that would have been funny, but here it just added to the chaotic intensity. They were shown brawling backstage later on too, which led to Moxley being sent home from the arena, aka a William Regal return plot device. After that great opening segment, we got a back and forth, hard-hitting, technical wrestling exhibition match of FTR's Dax Harwood versus Bryan Danielson. Both men are so talented, they managed to create what felt like a months-long blood feud despite no story going in. It was just 2 tough bastards seeing who's tougher. After trading 2 counts in small packages, Danielson made Harwood tap in the crossface to a standing ovation, where they both hugged after. Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta had a sit-down interview with the JAS to build their respective matches. It was a bit clumsy, but Jake Hager was wearing his hat, so 5 stars! Hat. Now that Samoa Joe is a heel, he can be what I always want from him: a no-selling, ass-kicking monster. He welcomed AR Fox to the company following his signing by rightfully beating him with a muscle buster in 5 minutes. Wardlow then cut a promo on the Tron promising he's coming for Joe, which he finished by saying Wardlow's world. It's a lame catchphrase for many reasons, but mostly because it makes me think of a rubbish cartoon theme park for kids. It's by definition not threatening. We got a vignette from the Book of Powerhouse Hobbs where he went to the shops to buy some milk. Protein! And then we got the most anticipated segment on the show. MJF finally speaks following his world title win and heel alignment with William Regal. Wearing a suit with "I'm better than you" written into the pinstripes, a more PG version of Conor McGregor's famous FU design, Max cut a lengthy promo. It had to be, as he had the following loose ends to tie up, explain his and Regal's plot, 3 months of feuds to establish, debut a new belt, and then turn even more heel at the end. He wrapped up the firm storyline by pretty much going, who can be bothered? He explained that Regal approached him after the firm beatdown, so under 3 weeks before the Full Gear turn, and said he wanted to make him the greatest villain ever. Not the best master plan reveal, but we're moving forward, remember. We're focusing on the optimism of the future now. He debuted his own hideous Burberry print AEW title belt, which I actually found offensive, and said his boy Nick Khan and the game Trips are going to help him in the bidding war of 2024. But the biggest part was the ending. Max got the crowd to cheer for Regal, which was an odd change considering he'd spent the previous 10 minutes blasting them with cheap heat. It was all a neat misdirect, as he then decked Regal in the back of the head with the brass knucks. MJF turned on Regal just 11 days after they first became an act. It was a shocking moment, not just for the turn, but because Regal has been presented as someone who, if he takes a bump, will immediately die. AEW dealt with the fallout perfectly. Max left through the crowd as the medical team tended to a scarily unconscious Regal with blood pouring from his mouth, while a distressed Bryan Danielson never left his father figure's side, even going with him to a local medical facility in a moving medical facility. AEW often just cut to the next segment with a jarring change of tone, but here they let the impact breathe and even continued it after the ad break, all adding to the perceived seriousness. The angle also perfectly builds another part of Max's promo, where, start of an Edgar Wright movie style, he set up the next 3 months worth of feuds, name-dropping Eddie Kingston, yes, Ricky Starks, who won the Championship Eliminator Tournament, and Danielson, for whom the Regal angle will bring a very personal motivation for their feud. Stepping outside of kayfabe though, it poses an interesting question over Regal's future in AEW. In a week of rumors that Triple H wants Regal back in WWE, could this have actually written him out of AEW completely, And ultimately, while shocking, what potential for a longer MJF-Regal partnership has this wasted? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Ricky Starks beat Araya Daivari in a squash match next to build him for the MJF match. He wants to win the Diamond Ring too to take everything Max has. Ethan Page also said he'll take the Diamond Ring.
Stop trying to make
The Firm
happen.
It's the women's quarter hour time. It really is the old AEW. Britt and Jamie had an interview segment about an interview segment to set up another interview segment. Willow Nightingale really got the crowd into her by overcoming both Ty Mello's interference and beating Anna JAS. Ruby Soho made her return in the post-match and beat up Tay for breaking her hand. Jade Cargill's character, meanwhile, has run out of things to do, so she's feuding with Little Bow Wow. This fell flat and was comfortably the worst thing on the show. And the main event saw match 3 in the Best of 7 Trios Championship Series between the Elite and Death Triangle. They all started brawling during their entrances. This doesn't feel like 7 distinct matches, it feels like one epic, continuous match, just with a week here and there between the chapters. This was insanely good. If anyone goes to you, oh, but it's all just high spots, where's the psychology? They really are being disingenuous to prove a fixed set of beliefs they already have. This does have stories underpinning the crazy stunts. Pac versus Omega, the character dynamics between Death Triangle, and who's comfortable with cheating. Both teams becoming increasingly familiar with each other's offense and thus having even more creative counters. This was spectacular. Matt Jackson got his knees up in Pac's face off a Black Arrow to make the series 2-1. What did you think of Dynamite? Let me know in the comments down below. The MJF turn on Regal, Hangman's return, excellent matches, and Dax versus Danielson and the Trios main event. This really is AEW returning to its best. This week's Dynamite is 85%. Is William Regal actually leaving AEW though? Watch me and Tempest debate that now. Is William Regal going to leave AEW and go to WWE? I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Tempest. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Reacts video to this news that first broke over the weekend because Triple H, in a very flirty, teasing, thirsty way on Twitter,